Mommy, Daddy, I miss you. Please come back. I need you. This is too much for me. I have no one to speak for me or to comfort me.
You will learn respect. That is for your disobedience.
After losing her rich parents, Nia was treated like a servant by the auntie who came to help her until one secret dress changed her life forever. What would you do if the person who stole your inheritance and crushed your dreams came running back only after you became rich and famous? Like, subscribe, and comment where you are watching from. We would really like to know how far this video traveled to. Nia grew up in a big, beautiful house in Canada. The house was filled with sunlight during the day, and at night, warm lights glowed from every corner. Her parents were very rich. They were also kind and loving. They had worked hard to move to Canada from Lagos in Nigeria, and they made sure Nia had everything she needed. But even with money, their greatest treasure was the love they shared with their daughter. Nia's mother loved sewing. She believed sewing was more than just making clothes. It could tell a story, show who a person was, and even carry hope. From the time Nia was very small, her mother taught her to sew. She showed her how to hold a needle carefully, how to measure fabric, and how to stitch patiently. Nia loved learning. Every afternoon, after finishing her schoolwork, she would sit with her mother and sew little pieces of fabric into dresses and tops. Sometimes the stitches were crooked, and sometimes the colors didn't match, but her mother always smiled and said, "Mistakes are part of learning. Keep going, Nia. One day, you will make something beautiful." Her father supported her too. He would watch her sew and say, "You have a gift, Nia. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise. One day, your sewing will bring you far." He even bought her a small sewing machine so she could practice at home whenever she wanted. Nia felt happy and safe. She knew she had everything she could ever need, a loving family, a warm home, and a dream she wanted to follow. But happiness does not always last. One winter, her parents became sick. At first, it was a cough and a fever, but soon their sickness grew worse. Doctors tried everything, but nothing seemed to help. One morning, Nia woke up to a house that felt empty and quiet. Her parents were gone. The people who once filled the rooms with laughter and love were no longer there. Her heart ached in a way she had never felt before. She was young and alone, and though her parents had left her money and the house, it could not replace their love. News of their death traveled far, all the way back to the village her parents had left behind. That was where Nia's father's older sister, Auntie Kimi, heard what had happened. Life in the village had been hard for her. She sold vegetables under the hot sun, fixed broken roofs, and worried constantly about money. When she heard that her brother had died and left a big, beautiful house in Canada, her heart leapt. "This is my chance. I will make sure I use this opportunity well," she said to herself. "I don't have to suffer anymore. I have suffered enough. Now they are no more. I must shine and enjoy myself." She packed her few belongings and traveled to Canada. When she arrived at Nia's house, she cried loudly, hugging Nia and pretending to be heartbroken over the loss of her brother and sister-in-law. Nia, still grieving, felt comforted to have family around. She welcomed her auntie into her home without question. At first, Auntie Kimi acted kind. She cooked meals, cleaned the house, and spoke softly to Nia. But inside, she was already planning. She looked at the house with its large rooms and expensive furniture. She saw the cars parked outside and the piles of money left behind. She wanted it all, and she would do whatever it took to get it. Nia, still mourning her parents, did not notice the change at first. She believed her auntie had come to take care of her, and she trusted her. But soon, little things began to happen. Auntie Kimi would complain about chores, criticize Nia's cooking, and insist she clean or wash things immediately. She started to spend the money Nia's parents left her on herself, buying expensive clothes, jewelry. Nia tried to speak up, but Auntie Kimi would glare at her and say, "Don't worry about grown-up matters. Just do as you're told." Even with all this, Nia's one source of happiness remained, sewing. Every night, after Auntie Kimi had gone to bed, Nia would quietly take out the leftover fabric she had hidden and make dresses. She stitched carefully, remembering her mother's words, "Good things grow slowly." It was her way of holding on to hope, of keeping her parents' memory alive. But one day, Auntie Kimi discovered the dresses. She laughed loudly, a cruel sound that echoed through the house. "What is this nonsense?" she shouted. "You think sewing will make you anything? You will never be useful with this foolishness." Before Nia could answer, her auntie grabbed the dresses and ripped them to pieces, throwing the fabric on the floor. Nia tried not to cry, but the tears slipped down her cheeks. It hurt to see something she loved destroyed. But even in that moment, she promised herself she would not give up. Her dream was still alive. No one could take that from her, not even her auntie. And though the house now felt like a prison, Nia still believed that one day, her sewing could change her life. She just didn't know how soon that day would come. After a few weeks, life in the house changed completely for Nia. Auntie Kimi stopped pretending to be kind, stopped helping with meals and stopped speaking softly. Her true nature came out. She began to act like she owned the house completely and that Nia was only a servant. "Nia, clean my room," she would bark in the mornings. "Nia, wash my clothes. And make sure they are perfect. Cook fast. I don't want to wait." Every day was a challenge for Nia. She woke up before the sun rose, swept the floors, washed dishes, cooked meals, and cleaned every corner of the big house. No task was too small or too hard for her auntie to assign. Even though Nia had the money her parents left behind, Auntie Kimi controlled it. She spent it on herself, on fancy clothes, glittery shoes, jewelry, and gifts for a young man she liked. This young man, who had come to visit Auntie Kimi in Canada, only seemed interested in her wealth, and Auntie Kimi spent everything she could on trying to impress him. Nia worked silently, never complaining. She wanted to keep peace in the house, and she still hoped that somehow, her auntie might change. But every day, the house felt colder. The laughter and warmth that her parents had created were gone. She missed the way her mother would hum while sewing and the way her father would tell stories in the evening. Now, there was only order, shouting, and fear of displeasing Auntie Kimi. Yet Nia had one secret, one piece of herself that no one could take, her sewing. At night, when Auntie Kimi slept, she would quietly pull out leftover fabrics she had saved. She had scraps from curtains, old dresses, and even some fabric her mother had kept in a special box. With her small sewing machine, she carefully stitched each piece together. Sometimes, it was a simple dress. Sometimes, it was something more complicated. Each piece carried her memories of her parents, her hope, and her love for sewing. Nia had become very skilled in a short time. Even though her auntie mocked her and tried to stop her, Nia believed her mother's words, "Good things grow slowly." Every stitch, every design, every tiny fold of fabric was a way for her to hold on to hope. One evening, as she finished a small dress she had been working on for weeks, Auntie Kimi came into the room. She spotted the dress lying neatly on the table and sneered. "What is this?" she shouted, grabbing the dress. "You think making these little things will help you? You're wasting your life, Nia. You will never be useful with this foolishness." Before Nia could respond, her auntie ripped the dress into pieces, scattering them across the floor. Nia's eyes filled with tears. The dress had been her best work yet, and now it was destroyed. "Why do you keep trying, in this house?" Auntie Kimi shouted, her face red with anger. "You should stop all this nonsense. Just do what you're told and clean the house like a proper servant. Or do you want me to send you back to Nigeria?" Nia quietly wiped her tears. She felt anger and sadness, but also something stronger, determination. No matter what her auntie said, no matter how cruel she was, Nia knew her sewing could one day change her life. Days passed, and Nia continued to work secretly. She stitched late at night, hiding her small creations in a cupboard. She even started to experiment with new designs, taking inspiration from the colors of the sunset outside her big windows, from the flowers in the garden, and from the clothes she remembered her mother wearing. But life was not easy. Auntie Kimi grew harsher. She demanded more money for herself, spent more time with the young man who adored her wealth, and expected Nia to work from sunrise to sunset. The house that had once been warm and bright now felt like a cage. Every corner reminded Nia of how trapped she was. Still, she kept her dreams alive. She whispered to herself at night, "One day, they will see. One day, my sewing will take me far. One day, I will show everyone what I can do." Little did Nia know, something was brewing. One afternoon, as she was cleaning the house, she overheard a radio announcement. A grand fashion contest was coming to the city. The winner would receive $10 million and a chance to become famous. Her heart raced. Could this be her chance to escape? Could this be her way to finally honor her parents and follow her dream? Nia did not know how she would go, or if her auntie would allow it, but she felt a spark of hope in her chest. A spark that no cruelty, no tearing of dresses, and no harsh words could ever put out. That night, she held her remaining fabric close. She whispered to herself, "I will not give up. I will make it. I have to try." For the first time in many weeks, Nia slept with a small smile on her face, imagining a day when she would no longer be treated like a servant in her own home. A day when her sewing could shine for the whole world to see. The morning of the fashion contest arrived, and Nia felt a spark of hope. Her auntie, dressed in expensive clothes and glittering jewelry, left the house to meet the young man she liked, telling Nia to make breakfast quickly. Nia watched her go, heart pounding. This was her chance. She grabbed the dress she had sewn in secret for weeks, simple but elegant, inspired by her mother's designs. She put on plain shoes, packed her dream, and stepped into the crisp morning air. At the contest hall, Nia felt small among the other designers with their fancy fabrics and assistants. But when her turn came, she unfolded her dress. The judges' eyes widened. The colors, patterns, and stitching were perfect. The dress told a story of hope, struggle, and love. When her model walked the runway, everyone stared. When the winner was announced, tears filled her eyes. Her hard work, patience, and secret nights of sewing had finally paid off. She walked on stage, holding the trophy and prize certificate, proud and free for the first time in months. News spread quickly. People wanted to know the story of the girl who had overcome hardship and cruelty to create something beautiful. Messages from designers and fashion houses poured in. Back at home, Auntie Kimi returned, expecting to find Nia obedient and tired. Instead, she heard her name on the radio and saw her on TV, learning she had won $10 million. Her mouth fell open. Nia had succeeded, despite everything. That night, Nia slept peacefully, dreaming of opening her own clothing shop and showing the world her creations. Her dream was hers, untouchable and unstoppable. After winning the contest, Nia's life changed completely. With the $10 million prize, she opened her own clothing shop. She called it Threads of Hope, a name that reminded her of her journey. People came from all over Canada to see her designs. Newspapers wrote about her, and social media buzzed with excitement. Nia became famous for her talent, creativity, and the story of how she had overcome hardship. Meanwhile, back at the house, Auntie Kimi's world began to crumble. The young man she had admired and spent Nia's parents' money on stole everything she had and disappeared. She was left alone, broke, and ashamed. She had tried to control Nia, mock her dreams, and use her inheritance, but now the tables had turned. One day, Auntie Kimi returned, hoping to gain favor or take advantage of Nia's success. "My child, forgive me," she begged, her voice full of false sorrow. Nia looked at her quietly. She remembered all the cruelty, the stolen money, and the destroyed dresses. But she also remembered her mother's words, "Kindness is greater than anger." "I forgive you," Nia said softly. "But you must live honestly from now on. You cannot control me or my life." Auntie Kimi nodded, humbled. She stayed with Nia, but she no longer had power over her. Nia was generous enough to give her a job in her new company. Nia continued to grow her business, designing new collections, mentoring young designers, and living a life filled with happiness, wealth, and respect. Nia had gone from being a quiet, obedient girl in her own home to a famous designer admired by many. Her dream had not only survived, it had triumphed. And through it all, she had learned that patience, hard work, and belief in oneself could overcome any obstacle. Nia's sewing had turned her life around. Her dream was hers. And no one could ever take it away. Thank you for staying with us to the end. Please, like, subscribe and comment your thoughts. See you next time.
Bye, thank you for watching, and see you next time.